All right, what's up, Bulldogs? I am here with John Anthony again, and we're going to be talking about today about how to become instantly more attractive to women, and also a little bit about why the date. Oh, I got a little bit of echo in my. That's all right. A little
Oh,
bit about
my
why
headphones in.
the dating market has changed today, and then I think it was on my end, John. I think because I had
Oh, okay.
it was like so don't worry. But
Okay.
but yeah, but a little bit about how it is, why it's harder for guys in the dating market today, and kind of how to overcome that because I think that's really important. So, welcome back to the channel, John.
Yeah, thanks. Should I give a little brief intro
Yeah,
for those
yeah,
unfamiliar?
yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
So I come from like, for those of you that aren't familiar, I come from like a very analytical background. So I was a programmer just like John. I did a computer science and philosophy major. I went on and did a user experience master's and a philosophy of cognitive science master's. My first job out of college, I worked for Lockheed Martin for about almost 5 years on missile defense, ballistic missile defense. So my job was to optimize speed of response time and accuracy of response. I was a systems engineer against nuclear, biological, chemical missile attack. I played pro poker on the side in college, and I used to day trade stocks. I got pretty good with chess. Anything that had a good skill game component that I could optimize a system. And so once I discovered the book The Game and Mystery Method, I went and tried to implement that stuff and saw like a massive difference in my results like right out of the gate. And that made me a believer. I used to think it was a scam at first. Like
Yeah.
when my friend first told me about the book The Game, I was like, oh, that sounds like bullshit. I refused to read it for about a year and a half. And he finally convinced me. He was like one of the smartest guys I know. And fast forward like 15 years, I just spent most of my adult life evolving and optimizing the system to output better and better results. So what's the best way to text? What's the best way to run a date or to keep the girl around? And what's also the most efficient, effective, and optimized, straightforward way to have the guy easily assimilate it as well, so that he doesn't have to spend months or years practicing or refining. So I'm pretty proud of the system that I've developed. It works very, very well. We have over 1,000 testimonials on a page now, and we very quickly get guys, usually with more dates they can handle by 2 or 3 weeks into my training. And I feel like they've made it at that point when guys start, and I hear it so much. Oh, hey, I don't have any more time to schedule the girls out for dates. I'm like, there you go. Now you can build your rotation that you want, or get the girlfriend that you want to pick the best one out of the girls you have access to, and you're set, right? Like you don't need years of fumbling around, and you certainly don't need any of these ideologies, that are poisonous, like the red pill that says to hate women, or that they're all against you, or black pill that says you need to be a model in order to get girls, right? So, and I like I resonate with the message on your channel about getting rid of the victim mindset and taking personal accountability. And so I was the shyest guy in my whole high school, right? Out of like 700 people. And now I've lived all around the world, slept with, it's kind of an obnoxious number to state, but it's 1,536 girls now. And I've slowed down a bunch too. Like I've had a girlfriend for 2.5 years I live with. We have 3 dogs. I have my own side rotation and this and that. We're actually gonna get a second place now because there's too much friction with all these other girls over here. But yeah, so that's my background, and I'm all about like no BS, cutting out all the superfluous information and delivering stuff that's extremely easy to implement. So very often on our 3-day boot camps, we have guys pulling on night 1 for the first time in their life. And on our mentorship program, lots of guys that have struck out for 5-10 years trying various methods and failing. We correct that usually in the first week and get them on the rate of sleeping with 1 to 2 new girls a week. It's not all about putting up big numbers, but we just get a whole bunch of extra dates for guys with high quality options, and then they can do what they want from there. So I
Yeah,
guess that's a
and
good background.
I think I think that's the big thing. I think because a lot of people are like, oh my god, 1,500 lay count, like that's like I don't. Why do you promote that, John? Are you promoting that? And it's like I don't think I'm not promoting it. You're not promoting it. It's just it's what you did, and you're the expert in this. So that's
Yeah.
like the thing that you. Whereas a lot of guys that just want a girlfriend, that's cool, that's fine, but if they have options, then they can choose what to do. And it's like, I think a lot of guys today, it's like, I keep telling guys, if you don't have options, you don't have a choice. And it's like,
Yep.
yeah, you could be like, okay, yeah, pick up whatever. I don't like pickup, and that's fine. But like, learn it and get to the point where you have the ability. And then if you're like, I just want to be a monogamous, relation, like I am, I'm engaged right now. I mean, I'm in a monogamous relationship. But if that's what you want and you're looking for that dream girl, it's going to be a lot easier when you have a huge selection of girls to choose from versus
Yeah.
like the one or two that will actually give you any kind of attention. Like most guys basically
Yep.
get what they're handed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and we're trying to like, change our messaging a little bit. Like the whole idea of like, talking about how many girls we went with, we say at the beginning of every video and stuff like that, is just to establish that I have real, like demonstrable expertise. Like I have
Right.
thousands of pictures with girls. We have terabytes of infield. Where our teams, we're going to start putting out tons of infield for free on my YouTube. And I want, because this is an unregulated industry, and what differentiates me, who has real results, from someone who just goes on camera and says they're really good with girls. And unfortunately, a lot of the industry is charlatans or just internet marketers, or guys that are just full blown scammers. So if anyone that's familiar with my channel, I attack a lot of these guys directly to show that a lot of these guys are running crooked operations, and so on and so forth. But I want guys to see that I have endless amounts of proof of getting the result that they want. Because for any skill game, right? Like in chess, you're gonna look at someone's elo score. In poker, you'll look at lifetime earnings. In any sport, you're going to look at points per game, UFC, fight win and loss record. People care about quantitative stats in those disciplines, and I think they should care here too, at least from the coaches, right? So say what you will about having slept with that many girls. I don't encourage that everyone go and do that. That's what I did, right? But a lot of that was research too. it was
Right.
it was for science. I mean, I had to,
Yeah.
for a big period of my adult life, I haven't had a real job since about 2013, and so for a lot of the time that I had in the day, I was either working leads over text, on a date with a rotation girl, or like swiping Tinder. Like my first 400 were mostly cold approach night game. Then I started incorporating online as well. But I used to think online was cheating in the beginning when it first came out.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what
yeah,
yeah,
because I didn't like that I had to develop all this strategy, and then like someone that just was like good looking might be able to have it. But
exactly.
the thing is,
Yeah.
though, is that it's not a magic ticket. Like a lot of those guys will
No.
get initial interest, and then they fuck it up over
Mhm.
text. They fuck it up on the date. But I just tried to amass tons of data across the whole process, and was just switching between different game activities at all times. And I always would like analyze exactly where there were weak points, try to always find a better way of doing every part of the system. So all the different things in my advice that I give are like heavily data tested. And if anyone, even to this day, can show me a better way of doing any part of the game, I'll gladly adapt it if I can, demonstrate that I can get a higher level of result than I was getting in that particular part. So, and I think that's how everyone should have approached it. And I wish the community was a lot more like open source,
Mhm.
where everyone would kind of go towards what was working the best and constantly be trying to improve it. And instead, it's just a lot of like competing ideologies, a lot of, I'd prefer there wasn't any drama. I've
Yeah.
gotten more back to like value and stuff like that. I'm giving more like pickup teaching videos and demos and infield breakdowns. That's what I want to be doing. That's what I started the channel for. And it just got into a lot of, this guy said this about you today. This guy said this guy said that. At the end of the day, that's how it's always going to be. And that's what people want. People want to hear about the drama and this and that. I didn't get to see your video today, but I see in the comments, someone said, respect to stand
Oh,
up,
yeah.
people by mindset.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I mean,
appreciate that.
I was in a group with Anthony Johnson, Alex from Playing with Fire, and a couple other guys. And when he started posting about, I sent this on Twitter and this and that, I was like, dude, that's not cool. That's incredibly distasteful and disrespectful. It's his own private life. What he decides to do is his thing. Plus, you were like still on the trip and all that with the girl, like, probably the happiest moment of your life, enjoying the vacation, this and that. And he's trying to light you up on social media. And I said, that's really fucked. And there's tons of guys in the industry that are corrupt. And John has always had a good uplifting and positive message, and provides a lot of value to guys. And we don't need to get into trying to figure out what's going on there, but there could be some psychology, from his past, with
Yeah.
having a bad experience with marriage and this and that. That's one explanation where that came from. But then once he like mailed his list talking shit and stuff, I left the group. And then he tried to like send me memes over private message, and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I basically am not going to go back to 21 again. And I think that was, It was just kind of a really, really low blow. And I attack guys every day. He brought that up. He's like, you attack a lot of guys, but these are guys that have been found to be scamming or found to be like fucking people's lives over and stuff like that. But for someone to, decide to get engaged or to get married and someone else to pass all this judgment about that, I think that was really fucked and crossing the line.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that, John. Yeah, I really do appreciate that. There's not very many guys that you can count on to stand by you. So that, I consider that to be, that
what
you
most
to be a
people
man
do
of that
is
character.
most people try to like remain neutral,
Mm,
which I've always hated because like if someone fucks me over, I want my friends to be loyal and tell that guy to go fuck himself, right? Because I'm their friend. But what most people do in practice is they'll say, "Oh, well, that person didn't do anything to me," and I say, "Well, look at their character. Look what they did to
right.
someone else," right? And most people don't look at it that way. So, it is what it is, and I think a lot of people unfortunately got caught in the middle there because there's people that were supposed to speak at the event and stuff like that, and they're friends with you, and they didn't know how to handle it. But it was a pretty easy decision for me. So, but yeah, I'm sorry that had to happen, and
Yeah.
I wish like in certain situations, like when Kevin Ray Wilder was talking all this crap on me on Alex's streams, and Alex is a long term friend of mine. We talk almost every day, and he would allow that, and he would challenge him on it and be like, no, John's one of the most legit guys, if he's possibly the best guy and this and that, and Kevin would just say, oh, I disagree. And Kevin's only been with like 40 chicks. He was just a personal trainer that made his way into the space, whatever. And then Kevin's putting me at the bottom of the manosphere tier list below fresh and fit, and it's like, all right, again, like anyone can say anything online, right? But Alex and I have, since resolved that. He's got rules with Kevin now to not allow that type of behavior. Um, but yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's what comes along with being a creator, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually, this whole thing made me realize because I had misstepped in the past because I was trying to remain neutral in a lot of cases, and I realized that that is not the right thing to do. I didn't have anyone that was like a really, what I'd say, close friend being attacked. But I did have there were definitely some instances where I should have spoke up and said, hey, yeah, no, if you're gonna do this, I'm not gonna associate with it because it just the thing I realized too is it just makes anyone who associates with that person just look like an idiot, like foolish, because you're going to be people are going to associate you with that person. And I was like, the thing is, I just don't want to be associated with people that are going to do that kind of stuff and treat people that way because I'm trying to, like you said, I'm trying to create an uplifting message. And
Yeah,
and the thing is, what I think the mistake I thought in my head was that we could just have civil debates about things, and it's like, if you disagree with someone, that's totally fine, right? But let's just talk about it. But when we got to the point of like name calling and it's like all this kind of drama, then it's like it's just too much. And so, but no, but I do appreciate you sticking up for me there. That definitely means a lot.
yeah,
So,
sure.
but yeah, so let's talk about let's get into kind of the topic of how to instantly seem more attractive to women. What are some of the kind of quick tips you have for the guys that are listening?
So I think one of the biggest issues I've seen now over 10 years of coaching is that a lot of guys have a negative opinion of themselves, and a lot of guys
Mhm.
think they're not good enough, and they have, usually several, but at least one, but many more typically, hang-ups about themselves that end up serving in a practical sense as a handicap. So the guy thinks, it comes in all shapes and sizes. I'm too short. I'm too ethnic. I'm too old. It's my hairline. I'm too nervous or whatever it is. And they keep, I'm not in good enough shape. Right. And they make these excuses, or guys even go so far as to blame their whole city. They say, oh, well, and I've heard them blame like cities that are huge, like San
Yeah.
Francisco. They're like, well, there's just no pretty girls in San Francisco, or the girls here all suck. And it's like, you're not even talking to like a fraction of a percent of them. Um, but all that boils down to like some people just making excuses. It's easier. It's like an easy way out. It's easy to, instead of like manning up and learning a proper system and going forth and doing these things, they instead try to take these easy ways out. So I tell guys to list out their cool experiences, their skills, hobbies, interests, and accomplishments, and
Mhm.
look at that list and be cognizant of what they bring to the table so they can see themselves on the same level as these girls, not better, not in an arrogant or egotistical way, but just good enough for any of these girls. Because the classic problem is that guys are looking at these girls on a pedestal. She's hot,
Right.
therefore like she's above me. And then they try to, come from the frame of how do I win you over? What kind of little tricks or lines or whatever can I do to win that girl over since she's out of my league or much higher value than me? When instead, I teach guys just assume attraction, follow the 3-second rule so that you can't come up with the whole list of negatives or succumb to the fight or flight response, feeling, and then just go in and then just execute the system that I give them and assume that it's going to go well and assume that they're going to get the girl. And very oftentimes with that mindset, they will, right? Like confidence
Yeah.
is like being sure that what you're doing is correct. So a good frame of mind to get in is like act like you've already gotten the girl before you go in.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, hey, can I talk to you guys, like kind of passive or timid, that's going to make them feel awkward about it too. Instead, I just come in, hey, what's up? I want to meet you guys. What's up? And you just start cracking jokes, treating them like an old friend, right? And I treat the girls like almost like they're already on rotation. And that puts your body language and your verbals into place, right? Whereas most guys are like, okay, how do I win points? How do I avoid losing points? What's the perfect thing to say here? Will she be offended by this joke? Maybe, how do I impress her? How do I sound clever? Or how do I, they're trying to do all these things coming from the frame of like, I need to say and do the perfect things so that I can get the girl and not fuck up. But all that's like, deleterious to the interaction in the sense that it's going to come from the frame of like, I'm down here and you're up here
Right.
and I'm, desperately trying to win you over. So I think, to answer the question, guys should just assume they're getting the girl and rely on an optimized system that's going to do the heavy lifting for them. And it also tells you like what to do at all the major junctures. So that way there's no curveballs. When an objection comes up to take the girl home, you know what to do. If she snubs your opener or escalation attempt, you know what to do, versus like, being kind of dead in the water, like, fuck, what's the best move? And then just doing whatever seems intuitive, which is oftentimes way off. Right. So I think getting those mindsets aligned and then following an optimized system can go a really long way.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like, a lot of what you're describing is like the difference between coming off as needy and not. And it's like, I think no girls find guys that are needy attractive. And if you're
Yep.
putting her on her pedestal, you're trying to win her over. I think guys think that that's like a good thing, but it makes them come across as needy. And what you're describing is a way to not be needy, where,
Yep.
you're from an abundance kind of mindset. So,
Yep. And as guys get more successes, as they get more successful approaches, more phone numbers, more dates, more hookups, more girls in rotation, their quality levels up. All that directly feeds back on their confidence, like very quickly. Like we've even had situations where we had one guy come on the program, the 8-week program. He was a virgin. He lost virginity like 3 days in, and he's like, "Oh, I fucked up the parts in order to retain the girl, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to see her again. But I don't care because I have 4 more dates this weekend."
right.
And just to see the guy
Yeah.
go from, it's like flipping the switch from scarcity to abundance. Before he was like, he thought black pill was true, and he thought that since he was a model, wasn't looking like a model, he didn't have any chances. And he had tried a bunch of other pickup trainings, and they all failed. And he was like, I'll never get laid. Like, I don't know how I'll ever get a girl. To literally 3 days in, being like, I don't care because I have 4 more dates this weekend. And that was like so cool. Even in, like after 10 years of coaching, hearing stuff like that, it's like very fulfilling because you see the guy like light up and his whole world has changed now. And it's like
Yeah.
permanently changed for like a much more positive direction. And just real quick, so this weekend, guys, we're running a 3-day event. It's free to join. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have the link in the description for that. It's called the Approach Breakthrough Challenge. We had 700 people on the last one. This time we already have 1,200 people, but it'll probably get up to over 2,000 by the time of the event. And I'm teaching my full cold approach system, all of night game, all of day game, all the mindset stuff. It is free to join. Last time there was a charge. This time it's free. For a $97 upgrade for VIP, you get access to me and my coaches in the Telegram when you're out and about doing approaches. It's like a virtual boot camp. You get a bonus 4th day. You get extra Q&A with me directly and a bunch of other stuff. But just go look at the page if you're interested in joining that. It will literally give you my full cold approach system. Okay? You don't have to buy anything. You can literally just be on for free.
Yeah, guys, check it out. It's in the link in the description below. And just as full disclosure, I'm not being paid. John's not paying me any kind of commission or
We're
anything
not
on
being
this.
paid either. It's free.
Exactly. Yeah. But just I want to hook you guys up with the best resources. And like John was saying, he's got he's got so much experience. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can claim, as high of a leg count as John has, which is field research. I mean, it's like whether you like want to do that yourself or not or agree, it doesn't matter. The fact is, it's like, he's been out there and has done more research and learned more things and perfected a system more than anyone else. And that's why, that's why he's someone that I trust, that you guys should trust as well. Plus, I've seen him in action.
You've seen me in action,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing is, so yeah. So anyway, check it out. It's totally free. It's crazy that you're giving it away free now. It's like, it
But
must
yeah, I
pain
mean,
you. You must
the
be like,
motivation, yeah, people might be thinking like, oh, what's the catch? Like if you join the general admission for free, like we don't take your credit card. There's nothing in the fine print. Like there literally is no catch. We're just trying to like really blow you guys away with how well and how quickly my cold approach training will work. And it goes far beyond anything I go into on YouTube. It goes into like the whole secret sauce, like nothing held back. And our goal is that you guys see how well it works so quickly and that you want to be trained on the rest of the game by me as well.
Yeah.
How to run dates, how to close dates, how to retain, how to text, how to build your online profile, all that stuff. So, I mean, that's where that comes from on our end. Our marketing team, it was hard to convince me at first to give away my 15 years of developing the system for free. But, that's the best way to demonstrate that you can actually help someone quickly is to actually help them. Right. That's what Frank
yeah.
Kern says.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I think it's a great way to market and sell. It's very honest, very transparent upfront. And then you're giving people value
Yeah.
for free. If they just want to take off with that value, that's up to them. But heck, I mean, most
Yep.
people, I think,
Yeah,
if they're
there'll
getting
be plenty of
value, they're
people
going to
that,
want more.
come on, get the full
Yeah.
system, and you don't have to spend a dime. That's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
We want to show you guys how well my stuff works because we do have a legitimate system. Like people can see, oh, they have 1,000 testimonials on a page, or he claims he can do really well. But how do I know it'll work for me? Now's your chance to come on for free and see it actually work for you. So
Yeah. Awesome. So let's jump into a little bit. I want to talk about, back in the day. It's kind of funny because actually back in the day, you're talking about how, people would kind of figure out what or you wish people would find out was the best system that worked and that used to be back in the day, back in the alt dot selection forums and all the, people
yep.
would do actual field
Yeah,
reports and test
we
it.
just spoke to Ross Jeffries today. I was mentioning
Oh
to
yeah.
you.
Yeah, but that was how it used to be, and then it became like this whole thing of all these charlatans and guys that really had no game trying to teach game and all this inner game type of stuff. Not that
Yep.
that you can't have inner game, but it was like so much focus on some of this stuff instead of practical mechanics.
Yep.
So a lot of guys I think are jaded today because they're like, okay, the pickup stuff is a scam, right? It doesn't work. Game is a scam, and I think a lot of I hear from guys all the time is they're like, okay, well, it's different. Back then it worked in 2008 or 2003 or whatever, but it's different now because women have Instagram. There's so many simps, they're not, they don't need to go to a nightclub and meet a guy because they can swipe on them on Tinder. So they're not even going to pay attention to you. People make up all of these reasons. And I think some of it's legit. I mean, the game has changed, like definitely the dynamics. So
Yep.
so a kind of two-part question is why is it harder or is it harder for guys today, right? In dating, and then what's the solution to that?
I personally think it's a lot easier. I
Okay.
think that like the more users that have come on to Tinder and other platforms, especially during COVID, it's like online has gotten like very, very, very good in the sense that there's more people than ever on the online apps. So that can really work to a guy's advantage if he does things properly. And by doing things properly, I mean getting a professional photo shoot that's like non-negotiable. Like if you guys don't have pro
Yeah.
photos on online apps, that's a huge mistake, right? Like you're competing, you need to present the best version of yourself. So the first thing we have guys do on our 8-week program is we have them get pro photos. So you're going from average photos to pro photos. Then we have a team
Yeah.
of hot girls that picks the top 5 best pro photos. Sometimes out of like 500 or 600, they have to go through all of them and they pick the very best 5. So now you're working with the best of your pro photos. And then we apply aesthetic upgrades, which is just applying FaceApp, like Hollywood 2 filter with FaceApp. If you guys have never tried FaceApp, it'll blow your mind. It raises the aesthetics like 1 or 2 points, and you can't tell at all that it was edited in most cases because it's using artificial intelligence. Like before FaceApp came out a few years ago, we had a manual editor on staff, and she would like Photoshop edit.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes see or it doesn't look as natural when someone's doing a manual editing, but with the artificial intelligence editing, it looks like very, very natural. So that guy went from average to pro photos to best pro photos to maximizing the aesthetics on those best pro photos. And then I write everyone's bios for them on that 8-week program. And then basically they're set. I mean, now you have the best chances to get the best quality and quantity of girls, and have them reset the profile with a brand new phone number so that it doesn't associate their old value score in the apps. So that's one way that I think people have a much bigger advantage. Like Casanova, he writes in his memoirs that he slept with 143 girls. There was no online game. There was no texting, right? So it was hard to like keep track of a lead. Like I guess you had to write a letter or some shit.
Yeah.
But like, like now with technology at our fingertips, we have, the standard with Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and you can message girls on Instagram as well. All that makes them more accessible. Like now the negative side is girls are getting blown up all day, right? So they're getting tons of validation and attention, but that doesn't preclude you from, I think cold approach is, just as valuable, if not more valuable than ever has, because most guys take the easy way out and they just stick to online, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't know game. Nobody was ever really cold approaching that much. It was always kind of a small percentage, I think. And all the clubs I've been in, you rarely see people approaching. But now it's even more rare, right? But I think that's going to really develop. It's going to help evolve your confidence, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. It's going to build thick skin so you can handle negative reactions. It's going to really hone in your calibration and how you react to positive and negative things happening in interactions. And it's going to give you all sorts of, different situations to adapt to. So I think there's no substitute for learning cold approach, and which is why we're doing these events as well, because we want guys to have that foundation. It's a really, I think it's like the holy grail of game and seduction, right? I've met too many guys. They may have banged a bunch of girls online, but they see I've been out with them or whatever, or we're walking down the street and there's a pretty girl and they like freeze up and they have no idea what to do. Or they try to talk to her and they like really butcher it because they've never, put in the work to cultivate that skill. So I think it's really important to develop that. And the best you can do is just maximize, your online profile. And it's like a one-time thing. You can still always be trying to beat the control, and you can still try to get into better shape and put pictures in better shape and stuff like that. But it's just some preliminary work up front. It delivers a good quantity and quality of matches. If you're not getting enough matches in order to set dates for the whole week, then you can create additional Tinder profiles. I talk about that in my program as well. And from there, then it's just, what do you message online to go from match to phone number? What do you message over text to go from phone number to date? And then how do you run your dates so you can close most of them, right? And all those skills are learnable, right? We have our leads machine product for 50% off today for Labor Day. I give you all the text scripts for every control path, all the online, or all the online messaging paths, right? For literally everything that can happen, any kind of objection to meeting up, cancels, reschedules, flakes, ignores once, twice, 3 times. So that takes all the guesswork out of texting and messaging. And it literally puts guys to my level for texting and online messaging, like out of the gate. So, I think a lot of people, again, people would rather just like bitch and complain and be like, I'm not an Instagram model, so I have no chance, right? Or these girls have access to like all these like chiseled Adonis type characters, so I have no chance. There's still plenty of hot girls that virtually any guy can get, right? If you happen to be short and ethnic or things like that, but maybe the pool is a little smaller, right? I'm not saying everyone's on an equal playing field, but all you can do is maximize your sexual market value and maximize your skill and strategy in the game. And then you're still going to have tons of options, like way more than you can handle. But guys don't realize that. They just compare themselves to some like ideal form of a man, and then they feel bad about themselves in a lot of cases.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I do mostly business and coaching now, but some of my coaching clients, I obviously help them out with their dating profiles. And I just had one guy that we basically applied. I applied the same thing that your whole system, how to get professional photos, right? We picked the best
it's like
out of
9-day
those.
difference.
Yeah, and then I had him do a photo to retouch the top rated ones on there, and he went from like nothing on the app to being like, I have a date every single night of the week, John. And I was like, dude, you need to actually chill it out, because don't make this your life. Like it's good. Like I'm glad you're getting results, but fucking chill out, dude.
It's like the biggest bang for the buck thing anyone can do is to go through that process.
And I think that's the thing is guys don't realize how like most guys like if you're doing what John is saying and using his system to optimize your photos, you're in the top 0.1% of guys like hardly any guys on this. So you're going to blow away the competition even if you're an average looking dude, like you're going to
Yep.
blow away above average looking dudes who have shitty photos, who haven't optimized and picked the best photos, haven't
Yep.
done that stuff. And so it's like it puts you at an unfair advantage because it is a winners take all game now. I think that's the thing that guys are complaining about is like women only want the top guys, but it's not hard to be a top guy, or,
Yep.
so
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the other thing too is like we've had like a lot of guys that are by definition average. Like our most of the guys come on the program are average looking or some are below average. But after going through that process, you're gonna nail like a smile with like a nice background with like a decent outfit with the lighting nice. Like when you have hundreds of options to choose from and the girls are going through, I don't rate the photos personally because I don't have female attraction circuitry, right? Like they're taking. There's some interesting phenomenon, or that I've noticed because I review their ratings, and I've noticed the background plays into effect
yeah.
like one or two points, which is very fascinating because for guys, like if we took a fat chick and put her in front of like a picturesque
Right.
background, not to sound like a dick, but we'd still be like, oh no, not very attractive. But like, it can be a very average photo of the guy with a beautiful
Mhm.
background, and they'll rate it like an A+. Or
Yeah.
like the little puppy thing, it
Yeah.
can be a very average photo of the guy, and he's got a little puppy, and the puppy looks, like it's like smiling or looking up at him with its tongue out, and that'll get like a 9 or like a
Yeah.
high 8. And the Match Group, which is behind a lot of these online apps, they put out the results of a study that said the top 3 best performing pictures on the apps is guy with small dog,
Yep.
shirtless ripped abs. So if you're in shape and have ripped abs, that's a good one to show. And the third one is like a thrilling or adventurous shot.
Yeah.
And Alex from Playing with Fire even goes so far as to tell guys like you can show like cliff diving pictures that aren't yours and stuff like that if the skin tone matches and they can't see the face.
Yeah.
Um, I've advocated, and this doesn't usually work out in practice, but I've advocated that guys can potentially use a green screen to put them in some kind of cool environment. But in practice, they usually don't get the editing right, and it looks too fake. So,
Yeah. Just do some
it's
cool
yeah,
shit too, right? It's like,
yeah, that too, yeah,
you
yeah,
know, but it's interesting because it's like what I kind of surmised from it was that it's so much about like when girls are looking at the photos on dating apps for guys, they're looking at what like the lifestyle and what their life would be like. They're imagining dating you and what their life would be like if they were dating you. And that's why I think the background and all that stuff makes more of a difference. And it's not something that like you would think of as a guy. And that's why having, like you've got girls that are rating it, that you're getting an objective rating because it's not just going to be your best looking photo, right? It's like a lot of times
yep,
it surprised me too because there's like photos that are hot photos but smiling wins. It's like just a
yep,
smile seems to win out. So it's yeah, it's I think most guys just are screwing it up so bad that they think that they're hopeless black pill, and they don't realize that if they just fix their photos they would be doing
yeah.
great. So
Yeah, and if you guys don't use Minor John services to like have girls rate the photos, you can use Photo Feeler as well.
yeah.
It's like a decent alternative. I think chicks don't care as much on there, but because I have my team of girls like be super honest and to the point where if there's no good photos, they'll tell the student like there's no good photos here. Um, or they'll give recommendations to try to improve if they have to do a second shoot or something like that. But usually one shoot is enough.
Yeah. So, and I like what you said too about the cold approach too. I think that was something that I think a lot of guys need to realize is that how much it changes the whole rest of your life, like learning this. That's why I encourage you guys to do
Yep.
the 3-day boot camp so you can learn the skill set. Even if you feel like you don't want to do like it changed my life. Once I learned cold approach, it made me more successful in every area of my life. I made more
Yep.
money. I got in better shape. It was like because I just had this fucking confidence because I knew that 99.9% of guys are just complete pussies and I wasn't a pussy anymore because I could just go up to a girl and just start talking to her. It doesn't even matter what she fucking said. It's just for me, I knew I could do it, and that just changed my life. It just changed the way I viewed myself. So
Yep. Yeah, I was literally the shyest guy in high school. Like I had trouble. I had debilitating social anxiety, general anxiety, panic disorder. I would have panic attacks in public, and like I was playing sports in high school, and I would be like on the soccer field or on the basketball court, and I would be like having panic attacks, like needing to like get off the court or whatever. And I never thought like I was gonna have even one chick, right? Like I was like
Yeah.
It's just not in the cards for me. And had I found black pill or red pill at that time, they weren't even really like a thing there at that time. It's like 20 years ago, but I would have been fucked. I
Oh
would
yeah.
have probably just given up, went down some negative rabbit hole, and just been like playing video games and shit right now, right? And so that's why, you know, we both came from like kind of nerdy programmer backgrounds, and so we can directly sympathize with what these guys are going through. Like we understand the pain because we lived it, you know, the same if not more than you guys did. So,
Yeah.
and there is a way out. You don't have to go down these negative rabbit holes.
Right. And I would even challenge to say that guys like us that were dorky, nerdy, socially awkward guys actually end up becoming the best at this because we have to practice it as a skill set and like learn it and really understand what we're doing. Whereas guys that are kind of quote, naturals, they're going to get success, but they don't understand what they're doing, so they can't change it. They don't have a system, so they can't change it. So they're limited. Whereas guys that start out from backgrounds like me and you, programmers, whatever, or dorky, socially having social anxiety, not being confident, like we understand what we're doing, and so we can actually improve it over time and
Yep.
get even better at it. So
Yep. Yeah. And I've hung out with a lot of naturals, and like usually they have like good confidence and charisma. They can keep the conversation going, but they don't have any understanding of logistics, objection handling, seating the pole, like frame control. You know, there's a lot of like technical concepts that they're just not aware of whatsoever. So, you know, that can only take you really so far. I think that game strategy really is the thing that can take you to a very high level, right? Like my best year, I slept with 246 girls. That's pretty much all I was doing, right? But I don't know if that would be possible without game, right? Unless the guy had like tons of access to girls all over the place or whatever.
right, exactly. So yeah, so with the landscape today of dating and women, what do you think about the idea? Like, because you said it's easier. I agree with you because I think that it's easier to stand out as a guy today. But what's your thoughts on the whole? Just the way that guy. What about like guys that are looking for quality women to date, like wife material and stuff like that? Because that's the other thing I hear from guys a lot. They're like, it's not even worth playing the game because all these women are just, they're just thoughts and whatnot. I think that's.
Well,
I mean, to me, it's a very destructive viewpoint. But what do you think
it's
about
yeah,
that?
that's like objectively false too.
Mhm.
Like Rollo wrote the book the Rational Male, right? A lot of that, like all girls are huge sluts and riding the cock carousel, is just like bad statistics that came from Rollo and other red pill guys. So there's a guy named Boaz that wrote a book called The Irrational Male, where he debunks all of Rollo's major talking points, and he goes into the statistics for promiscuity, and it's like very low. It's like 5% of women
Mhm.
are like very promiscuous, whereas they're toting it as like 100%, right? So, and if you do any kind of research into evolutionary biology and stuff like that, women primarily had one mate. And,
Yeah.
and I've met tons of girls through the game, and I've talked to a lot of girls. A lot of girls have single digit lay count, right? And a lot of them don't want to even go above that 10
Yeah.
because it's like conceptual double digits and stuff like that. So this whole myth that like the girls are all like getting railed out all the time, like that's a small percentage, right? So there's tons of girls where that's not the case, the vast majority. And all that, that you've been told about that is a lie from Red Pill and from Rolo's camp. It's just so they can make them the enemy, so that everybody thinks they're gonna fuck you over and all this stuff. It just helps support their ideology. But it's actually like objectively false. And that Boaz guy goes into all the deep statistics about it. But in terms of finding a quality girl, um, I think you need to get a whole bunch of options first. Okay, online, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, day game, approaching any attractive girl you see during the daytime, and then at the bars and clubs. And yes, you can find quality girls at the bars and clubs. You just have to be selective, right? So I've dated lots of really high quality girls seriously, as either as a girlfriend, usually bisexual girlfriend, or like a main rotation girl. And I have a long list of criteria. So over the past 10 years, like the girl, like just the physical characteristics for a main rotation girl or girlfriend had to be above a 9, and she had to be bisexual. But then internally, I wanted her to come from a good family, have a good heart, have a good moral system, not be a piece of shit, for lack of a better terms,
Yeah.
not be promiscuous, right? And lots of the girls that I got serious with didn't close on the first date. My girl in
Yeah.
Brazil, Didn't close on the first date. I tried to kiss her like 15, 20 minutes in on the first date, and she was going to leave. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is going too fast. I think I should go. And I'd be like, oh no, it's cool. We can slow down. Um, and we ended up making out later in the date, but it didn't close on the first night.
Yeah.
And she says that she normally waits like 5 dates before she sleeps with the dude. We slept together on the second date, but she said that was like kind of an exception. But you want to find girls that like, as cheesy as it sounds, like girls you could like bring home to your mom and dad and like not be
Yeah.
embarrassed, right? And there exists tons of girls like that.
Yeah.
It's not that all girls are terrible and all girls are sluts and all girls are gonna fuck you over and this and that. That's all bullshit. I've made countless videos debunking that stuff. That Boaz dude wrote a whole book against it. So my uncle made a really good point. He's like, you like fucking a lot of girls and this and that. And like, he's like, you need to find a girl that, that you're not going to, that's not like a pig, like for lack of a better term. But he's like, think about it. If she's sleeping with you on the first night, then she probably has no qualms with doing that with other people. So like, even though that's nice and you want that most of the time, for a girl that you want to get more serious with, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one kind of marker is that they don't sleep with you right away. The other one is just like how sweet they are, how caring they are. Like my chick is really selfless. Like she always puts other people before her. She would like, give up everything that she wants and needs for the, benefit of others and stuff like that. And that's very admirable and hard to find, but you can be very selective. You can, and she's also intelligent and she's analytical and she's funny, and we have like all these like stupid little jokes and this and that. So it's not like you just have to take whatever you can get. The whole purpose of doing all this stuff is so that you can evolve your confidence in how you carry yourself, so you can have access to better and better girls, both externally and internally. And you don't have to settle for a girl that's unattractive, and you don't have to settle for a girl that's, that you're not that into or that doesn't meet all these different criteria that you want. You can find a girl like that, and you can, you can have your cake and eat it too. Like you can basically make your dream become a reality, right? And I think the message that there's no good girls out there, again, that's just objectively false. Or that there's not that many, that's objectively false. There's tons. Think about what percentage of girls you're meeting in the city. It's going to be like the tiniest fraction of a percent. So what people do is they hear these videos from Red Pill and stuff, and they just think they like defeat themselves before they even, go and try it out. They say, oh, why would I want to get into dating? There's no quality girls. And you have creators like Hamza is a good example, where he says there's no good quality girls at bars and clubs. There's no good quality girls on Tinder, which is ridiculous, right? Because there's like people on Tinder are like people in real life. It's like you see those people out on the street, like where are the good girls on? But he's basically just chopping out people's lead sources, right? Like online game and night game are two of the best ways to meet girls. And he backs these shitty arguments with a fictional character named Adonis, and says like Adonis says Tinder is for losers and stuff like that. And I read the comments, people are like, thanks man, I deleted Tinder today. Thanks. I stopped going to the clubs. And then the guy has like, then the guy has no options. And then he strawmans the opposition with this character named Jeffrey, where they do like an editing pinch zoom effect. Do you know what I'm talking about? These videos?
Yeah, I've seen
it. They do this like editing where they do this pinch zoom, and he raises the pitch of his voice, and he's like, but Jeffrey thinks that there are good quality girls like on Tinder. And then he's like, but Adonis like knows better. And so he just keeps like reinforcing these shitty assumptions that he makes that are wrong with this fictional character that's supposed to be the ideal man. And then like a Giga Chat or whatever. And then he like strawmans the opposition by just like, painting it out to be this loser character. So it's just like logical fallacy arguments, but it works on the masses. And then he just, pushes his agenda on the all the people. And he's shown, not to make it personal, but he's shown his girlfriends, and they're like very below average, even though he's like super jacked. Right. So again, like it's not all about, getting in great shape or like just building, he has some good advice about self-development and building up that stuff. I'm not saying don't do that stuff, but don't think that like Tinder or bars and clubs are all low quality trash girls, because it's simply false.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he doesn't have a huge amount of experience with women in life yet. Even though, I mean, he's given some good advice to guys, I think, that are in
and he's a former Red Pill guy. He's like a
Yeah.
former Red Bull guy that like failed with PUA and all this stuff. And so these
Yeah.
guys, I think, like try to rationalize it, and there's cognitive dissonance there. And he's like, well, it's all a waste of time.
And I
Right.
think
That helps them feel better.
a lot of the guys too that propagate this all women are hoes type of thing is that the only women that they've been able to sleep with have been that, right? Because that's
Yeah.
all they could, and so they're, that's how they see it, and it's so untrue. In fact, I do some coaching for women as well.
Oh, really?
That
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
some women have come to me and asked me about, because a lot of my advice, I think probably because a lot of my advice is very more positive masculinity. So women are like, oh well, can you help me? And one of the
Yeah.
most, I mean, countlessly, what women are looking for more than anything else, they're not asking how can I find hot guys to get laid, right? That's what guys are asking, is how can I find hot girls. Women are asking, how can I find a quality guy to get into a relationship with? That's what women are looking for. So it's so crazy when I hear that women are riding the cock carousel and
Yeah.
all
It's
this
all
kind of
bullshit.
stuff, when then 90% of women, they're looking to find a quality guy to get into a long-term relationship with. They want to get married, they want to
Yep.
get, into LTRs. That's what they want. And so
Yep.
it's the opposite of what most guys think. And so
And
it's just so crazy that, and these guys are blowing their chances because they're listening to all this red pill shit, and they're literally becoming the opposite of the guy that the woman wants, right?
yeah.
Because a woman does not want some asshole guy that thinks that women are hoes and treats them like shit. She does not want that. She wants
Yep.
a quality guy that has a backbone, that's not a super nice guy, like a pansy guy,
Push over. Yeah.
but is also like a really cool chivalrous, guy that treats her
Yeah.
well. It's a
Yeah,
unicorn,
tell
you know?
I tell guys very actively to treat the girls well and just call them out when they overstep a boundary, like something
Yeah.
serious that like fucks you over, that some kind of bullshit that's pulled. But you don't need to always be on guard like there's some war between you and all the girls, right? Like anyone that I know, like including myself, that gets a lot of girls loves women. They
Yeah.
don't have, but besides like random drama and whatever else that comes along with it. They don't have bad stuff to say. They don't hate women. They're not confrontational against women. They don't see them as the enemy. Like nobody that I know gets women thinks like that. And
Exactly.
the guys that aren't getting chicks, a lot of these red pill guys, and that's why I showed a lot of their, it might have been distasteful, but that's why I showed a lot of their girlfriends and wives, because they have no receipts anyways. But then behind the scenes, they're like, marrying or getting involved with a pretty low quality chick, and they say like, like they're telling everyone all day in their day job that all women are terrible and all women are going to fuck them over and this and that. And yeah, like you said, that's not, you have the anecdotal experience with the women clients. There's the statistics about promiscuity, and if you look into evolutionary biology, like women, the female gender for Homo sapiens was largely monogamous, like all through
Yeah.
history, and
Yeah.
the males were more multiple partners, right? And it's like that in the animal kingdom too. Like if you look at like monkey tribes, like close genetic relatives, there's like an alpha male that like sleeps with a whole bunch of the females, but the females just sleep with that tribe leader, right? Sometimes they deviate and they want to sleep with another tribe leader because they're attracted to alpha behavior, but it's not like they're going and sleeping with all the men in the tribe or all the male monkeys in the tribe, right?
Yeah.
So there's scientific evidence, there's statistical evidence, and all to the contrary. But when you've got Rolo and like 30 other creators just pushing all this information, guys just accept it. It becomes, they think this is like what's true. And they don't know any better because they don't have any experience to disprove it. And then lots of times it ends up causing a lot of problems. Like I'm sure you encounter this as well. I get clients that are like, I would get a girl's number and I wouldn't text her for a week or 2 weeks because they told me not to hit her up so I don't look
Yeah.
needy. And, I couldn't buy her dinner on her date, or I couldn't buy her a drink or whatever. And I lost her, or because I didn't want to look like a provider.
Yeah.
And, and they have like a terrible opinion of all women anyways. They think they're all thoughts and all these other dumb terms. And it's really quite sad. And I
Yeah.
dragged them out of that. And then they start, like actually having success and actually respecting the girls. And they're like 10 times happier.
Yeah.
And it's not just that we're against those ideologies and mindsets because they're poison or because they're negative, and cause a lot of problems. It's because they're just plain false. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people, pushing propaganda that's not true. And yeah, I understand your frustration because, it's just like, not like anyone that has a lot of experience with women like knows it's not true, but these guys that don't have experience with women just trust all these people telling them this stuff. Or from the black pill, I've had a lot of clients that say I thought I had no chance because I don't look like a Chad or a model, and then they go out and try some of my free YouTube content, and they're getting numbers from, even from girls that are like an 8 or an 8.5, and they're like leaving in the comments like, "Holy shit!" Like it's literally like breaking them out of like a prison, right? Because someone told them on the internet they can't date and it's over for them,
Right.
and then some other person said, "No, that's bullshit. Go try it." And that's why we're excited to do these challenges too, because for all of you guys watching that think that you have no chance or that you're a special exception, I promise you're not. Okay, I promise you can date way more than 99.9% of the guys on earth, and have more options once you are doing it properly. So that's what's fulfilling, and you can only convert one guy at a time. But there's so much rampant poison going on in it. But what are you going to do? It's unfortunate. It's like that in every industry. I think there's just a lot of incorrect myths being pushed, and that's like the commonplace knowledge, right? And then people will disagree with you when you say the facts and the truth because it's against the common narrative.
Yeah, it's so true, and I think really like guys like me and you can understand this because we went from being what would have been the black pill guy to having a lot of success, and so it's like it's hard to convey that to people to realize, like, it's like because guys see us and they're like, oh well, yeah, but you guys whatever, but it's no, like you should see back in the photo long time ago when we were like you, like some of you guys that are complaining that you're too ugly to whatever it is, that you're never going to get laid. And it's like, no, it's just such a disservice, I think, to end someone's life before it starts. And that's what I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of that
And
philosophy is
people get
doing.
miserable from these movements. They slide
Yeah.
into deep depressions. They get suicidal. They really lose their joy of living. And I've
Yeah.
seen it so many times. It's very frustrating to me because they've just been led astray.
Yeah. And see, even Chris says, John, they don't care about a woman's high body count, but why are you saying that they ain't smashing a lot? That's a lie.
Like I said, the statistics, the evolutionary biology, like I'm talking about like hard empirical evidence, hard objective
Right.
empirical evidence. It's just not the majority. It's a small percentage of them. If you go and do the research, that's the case. Everyone, people can think, oh well, I know this one girl that sleeps with a lot of people, so they must all do it, or whatever. But that's not the case. Like all the research and data and science behind that points to the opposite.
And you can just use your brain to figure this out, right? I mean, if you think about it, if a girl is very attractive, right? And if a girl, most girls' objective is to get into a long-term relationship, most girls that are very attractive at any given time, 80% of their life, they're going to be in some kind of a relationship, which means they're not sleeping around. So like you really got
Yep.
to think about this. It's like, yeah, probably even lower quality girls might sleep around more. That might be more of the case because they can't get into an LTR and they're trying to keep on getting into one. I think that's where where there's that disconnect, but it just doesn't make any logical sense unless you want to try and say that women are not looking for long-term relationships. They're just looking to play the field, which that's not the case. We all know that that's not the case, because that's not, if you look at any kind of female dating coach, the questions are not how do I get laid more. It's never that. That's never the question, right? So
Yep.
what do you look at for men? What are they concerned about? How do I get laid more? So it just doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
it,
And
so many women.
evolutionarily, right? Like
Mhm.
women are having sex to get like survival and survival and replication benefits, and to have resources and stuff like that, right? And so like there was a study that said like women care more if the man, like say two people are dating, a man and a woman, and the woman cares more if the guy falls in love with
Mhm.
another woman, because then he could potentially leave her and provide protection and resources for someone else. Whereas the guy cares more about the woman fucking someone else because he doesn't want to raise someone's kid that's not his, right? And this is like
Right.
hardwired into us. So I've read a lot of the evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology behind this stuff, and it's just simply the stuff the red pill people are saying is not true. And without going on a tirade here, if you look at that Irrational Male book by Boaz, he like dismantles all of Rollo's talking points. So it's very poisonous what I think Rollo has been pushing into the space, in which lots of other creators have just parroted,
Yeah.
just because he said it.
Yeah.
There's a lot
I
of
think there's
false statistics.
Yeah. I think there's some value. I think, I just did a video talking about why the red pill is dead. And I was talking about how there's some value initially in understanding some of these concepts. But even from when I first read, my first book review on the Rational Male was it like 6 or 7 years ago. I said that there's some good information here, but a lot of this is toxic, is not like, is jaded, too jaded. Like, don't, get what you can out of this. Cause I think there's some good value in guys not being pushovers and understanding, like, that women actually do have a sexual strategy. But then it's like you said, they just take it too damn far. It becomes, it instead of becoming objective like facts, it becomes emotional and personal, and people get butthurt about it, and then they start hating women, and then and like you
Yep.
said, it's this whole parrot. Everyone is just regurgitating the same kind of bullshit that isn't actually reality. So
Yeah, and it becomes like an echo chamber online, right? Especially when you have like big platforms like Fresh and Fit and other people that aren't even experts in their own right, just kind of pushing someone else's incorrect ideas onto bigger platforms, and then it becomes even more dangerous because it starts becoming mainstream.
yeah, it's so funny. And here you go. I mean, this is probably like, hardcore, just brainwashed into this mindset. No offense to you, Chris, but this is not even accurate. It's like he says, lots of girls have boyfriends, always check me out in front of their boyfriend. That may be the case. I mean, I've seen that happen before, but and these girls in relationships are easy to smash, so I disagree, they're sticking around. That's good. That's probably not coming from real evidence. Like, Chris, if you've actually been sleeping with a lot of girls that have boyfriends, then let's see the numbers, and let's hear the actual experience. Otherwise, you're just kind of making this, you're just assuming this thing from what you've been told, not from your own personal experience. So
Yeah, again, I mean, he's flying in the face of statistics based on some anecdotal experience, which is, obviously the statistics and the evolutionary biology and stuff like that is more accurate.
yeah. So real quick, I guess we're out of time here, but for this 3-day boot camp thing that you're doing, just for guys that are just joining now or haven't stayed on, John's going to do this free 3-day boot camp coming up this
Yep.
weekend. This weekend.
Yeah, it's this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 9th, 10th, and 11th. We have a link in the description to claim your ticket. There was, the beginning of today, there was like 1,200 people signed up. We ran this 2 months ago, and it was not free, and we had about 700 people sign up. And now, being free, there's 1,200. We're expecting probably over 2,000 by the time of the event on Friday. And it's my full cold approach strategy. So all of night game, all of day game, and I'm going to be breaking down infield footage. We're going to be having a whole bunch of Q&A. But for $97 as an upgrade, you get live support from me and my team of coaches and Telegram chats when you're out and about doing approaches over the weekend, which is worth thousands of dollars on its own, because you're going to have questions, points of confusion, you're going to get stuck, and we're going to be answering all that stuff in real time. You get a bonus 4th day if you sign up for VIP. You get additional Q&A with me. You get lifetime access to all the recordings in the VIP, and I think you get my day game training from Occam's Razor, all the day game modules for training, and 30 infields to keep for life as well. Like, all that stuff on its own is worth far more than $97. But for 97, you'll at the very least you'll have access to all the training materials for a lifetime for $97. So, and the support from the coaches, I think, is probably the most valuable, because otherwise you're just implementing blindly without any feedback. So go look at the two options. It's either free or $97 in the description. But the last one was a huge hit. It's really nice. People make a bunch of new friends. I can go into my full system far beyond what I go into on YouTube, and it's just a lot of fun. It's really cool. I think we're bringing in, we might be able to bring you in as a guest speaker too. I'll talk to Alan. I think we're going to bring in, we talked to Alex from Playing with Fire. He wanted to say some brief things, and also Ross Jeffries might make a quick appearance.
Okay.
we were speaking to him today. So, but yeah, I'll ask my marketing guy about you coming on as well and sharing some wisdom as well. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the details for that. I mean, you guys might be wondering why we're giving away my whole cold approach system for free, and it's because we are we want to really blow away guys with value, show you how quickly and effectively you can get good with my cold approach, so that you want to be trained on the rest of the system. But there's no obligation to be. Okay, so just check out the link in the description for that. It's this coming weekend.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, guys. Yeah, definitely check it out. Like I said, and I'm not being paid to promote this at all, since the price is free anyway. But no, like I said, John is a great guy. He's one of the guys
Thanks.
that I know, knows what he's doing. And so when I have to send someone to a dating coach, they need some help. John's the guy that I go to, because I know you're going to be in good hands with him. And heck,
Yep.
if you don't have to take my word for it, just sign up for the thing for free, literally for free, and see. And if you don't agree, that's fine. You haven't lost anything. So that's I think
There's
that's a great.
some rare gems of people that are actually giving value. Like, you help with the mindset and the finances stuff. Jay Vincent has the optimized system for fitness. It is very difficult, I think, for the average guy that's needing help in these areas to be able to find guys like us that are actually giving optimized practical systems versus, like loads of nonsense. It's going to waste their time and confuse them further or drive them down bad paths. So that's why, I think you, me, and Jay and guys like, Alex from Playing with Fire, I think we need to unite, more and more as the industry becomes more toxic and polluted with nonsense. So
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Thanks a
buddy.
lot, John. And good luck this weekend. I'm sure you'll get thousands of people sign up. So
yeah, we're looking forward to it. Make sure you guys check out my YouTube content as well, John Anthony Lifestyle.
all right, take care.